supposed to be done, that's what's supposed to be executed. Law and order starts in the proper places. First, State's Attorney Greg Bernstein must issue some indictments against those police officers that killed and murdered Tyrone West. It was simply murder. How many police officers does it take to restrain one man? How many police officers does it take to kill one man?
That's right.
What happened that night was a travesty. We're not going to accept it. We're going to stand someplace every Wednesday until something is done. You know, it's a pattern that the Baltimore City Police Department is running into now. They've considered war on the black men in Baltimore City all over the nation, as a matter of fact. We have to make a stand somewhere. We have to step forward. Be reminded that the election is coming up in June 14th of next year.
We won't forget.
We won't forget if justice is not done.
That's right.
We know that justice is not only according to the law, but justice is also being fair, doing what's right.
That's right.
We won't stand for it. So once again, no justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace.
But those police officers did to my father was wrong, and because they were wrong for doing that, I'm not stopping until I get justice.
Introduce the question, sister.
I just want to let y'all know that we are very hurt and really affected by this. My whole family is really, truly affected by this. And right now, we don't feel safe. We feel like it's us against the police department right now. I don't feel safe at all. And I just want y'all to know, we got to take this serious because it could be you. It could be you next. It could be you. No justice, no peace.
No justice, no peace.
Tyrone West is on, and I am here to say that we truly miss our beloved Tyrone. And there was no reason for him to be murdered by all of these police officers like they did. They actually murdered my nephew. And now I feel like a violent person. I'm driving down the street, pressing on the accelerator, holding on to the steering wheel, asking God to please, God, help me not to run into anybody. God help me. Now who's next? Don't say that G because it will be you.
I'd just like to show my support for Tyrone West family. Standing here in solidarity with them today, just to bring the fact that this is a widespread issue. I myself am a victim of police brutality. I myself am a victim of police taking the life of loved ones and friends. From California to Baltimore, we stand in solidarity with Tyrone West family, Anthony Anderson's family, my cousin Adam Bluford, Ernest Dunn, Oscar Grant, James Riviera. Oh, we got a lot of them, folks. And we're here, and like we say, each and every Wednesday, we will be here until this is resolved. We demand justice. We demand this damn state's attorney and these people to come out here and do the right thing and charge the police that's killing our families, killing our black men, killing our people of color of their skin. This has to stop. This unjust system, the unjust laws, you know, protecting them, hiding them behind those badges and giving them the right to just go out and shoot and kill people and beat people, pull people out of cars and beat them. What kind of stuff is that? You get pulled off for a traffic ticket, it shouldn't result in your death. And you don't have no guns, no weapons, and nothing being drawn upon them. So we stand in solidarity with the West family. And we're going to keep doing this until we get justice. justice.
Yes.
Because I myself am a father of five grandkids.
Right.
I got 3 boys and I got 3 grandsons, and God forgive if I want something like this to happen to them.
Mic check, mic check. My apologies, we are having a little bit of an issue with Facebook Live. This is West Wednesday number 388. For some reason, Facebook Live is down right now, so I'm sharing it via YouTube. We are also streaming via Periscope, Twitch, DLive, and several other services. But because Facebook Live is down, watch parties are also down. But either way, welcome to West Wednesday. Mic check, mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Well, thank you guys, and I'm so sorry that Facebook is down because a lot of my followers always on Facebook, and it's sad that they gotta watch it this way. But I thank you, man, for trying to do your best. You can't control it, but I don't think it's ironic that Facebook is playing with my page tonight. I really don't. I'm just over Facebook. I just feel like we need to come up with our own media stream because it's ridiculous. When they want to cut us from something, we gotta wait or we gotta kind of throw us off. And especially since it's the last West Wednesday of this year, in 2020. But nevertheless, it's never gonna stop. So if I gotta do my watch party 10 o'clock tonight, it's all good. We're gonna keep it moving. But anyway, we're gonna a sad note. I hate that they start things off on a sad note, but I really got some horrible news. And, and it's dealing with police brutality. Actually, it's dealing with the case of Tamir Rice. And it's just sad that no federal charges were done upon the killer cops. And it's just horrible. And it's just sad that and they disappoint our families as we go into different years, different times. And it's strategic when they come back with this thing. And it's always near holiday time. It's always either after or before election. It's just horrible. But it's just sad, you see the video footage, Tamir was gunned down literally in seconds. It wasn't no drop the weapon. It wasn't none of that. He was gunned down worse than an animal. Gunned down. I think if it was an animal at the playground, I honestly believe it could have been like a wild animal, a bear. They would have tried to talk to a bear before they talked to a human being. And that's just saying a kid, a 12-year-old gunned down in seconds. And the way the system works, I'm not surprised, but each time stuff like that happens, it hurts not just me, but it hurts all of our families as a whole, because as we always say, we would never want to wish nobody into this family. And starting off with that video that my brother Ben just played, that was the first West Wednesday that was basically recorded, but it wasn't our first West Wednesday, actually day 27. And my uncle, George Peoples, he was the leader of the video. He was always the spokesperson of the family, because that was 27 days after my brother was murdered. I had no words. I could not talk. I couldn't express my emotions. It was it's unreal. And then to think now that we can literally, after tomorrow, we're gonna cross over basically, into a new year, and it's just really sad that we still have no accountability, still have no justice. It's just but his name is George as well. But nevertheless, I'm so proud of him, because the fact that us hurt just like I was, because Tyrone was his big cousin that poured in him. And I remember my cousin couldn't literally speak for weeks. He would actually ride around with my brother's obituary in his car. I don't even know, he might still have it in his car to this day, but every time I would get in his car, he actually had my brother's obituary, his big cousin obituary, and things like that. But I'm just so proud of him that throughout the pain of the loss of our loved one, that he was still able to just hold on, be strong. He just recently wrote a book. He does a lot of rap. He's a rap artist. He does a lot of songs. I wish I would have actually played one of his videos because in that video he is on there, but he's kind of hiding behind the sign because he really don't like cameras. Even though he got his little rap music video, but he's not like one of the persons that always want to be like seen by the camera or none of that. So he's always been like laid back, and I really appreciate him. But I just wanted to let you know that I love you, cuz, and I'm gonna just hand it over to you, and you can do your thing, and then we can come back into this serious conversation. But definitely wanted to check in with my cousin. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mike Chat.
Mike check.
Mic check, mic check. Okay, is it my turn? You ready for me?
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. I just want to thank the Most High for having all us here together to make everything go down how it's going to go down. And we're going to keep it serious. Thank you to Wanda Jones for everything you said. You know I love you. You know I love everybody. Now let me do this. Yeah, I had a book that just came out. It's called Connotations, which is about what you were just talking about, the lower economic situations that we're in and what we go through here, you know, and the invisible parameters that keep us there and that affect that. Okay, this guy today, I think his name was Chris Irvin. He walked from East Baltimore to West Baltimore on his live, and he said that there's no positive imagery in this going from East Baltimore to West, just walking. And that's amazing. That made me realize, like, you can't look for positive imagery because, you know, sometimes that it's impeded. So you have to be that image, or you have to be that change that you want to represent or that you want to see. So you could be that. I want to thank Chris Irvin for that video today too. And I don't really want to make it about me. Yes, I got a book. It's called Connotations. You can get it on georgepeoples.com, you know, on Amazon. But long live Tyrone West. I miss my cousin. I love you, Marnie.
Yeah, I love you too, cuz, and I just want to just thank you, and just for like taking like the time out your day just to even be here. You know what I'm saying? And then taking the time out by all the West Wensies when we were out in the street, just popping up, being low key. Cause like I say, he's never the one that want to be in front of the camera. He's always in the back, seeing him. Sometimes he'll just ride up to a West Wednesday, park across the street, stay in the car just to make sure our family's okay. And also I want to get, when I'm talking about him, I'd be remiss if I didn't pour and tell my auntie, his mother, bless her heart. My aunt is so beautiful. Like, to me, she is like the queen of my family. You know why? She's like the top queen. Like, all my aunts are queens. Don't get it twisted. But the reason why I say she's top queen, because she takes care of the queen, the original queen. And that's my grandmother. She's been doing this non-stop. Like, literally, his mom is 71 years old. Like, she looks like, to me, she ain't even 40. Like, she looks really good. She can beat me running around the block, okay? Like, don't get it twisted. So I just want to give a big shout out to her, just like pouring it to my grandmother, actually being out there. She's even in that video as well, you know, talking and things like that, just being strong. I just want to give my whole family right now, from the youngest, and if you see on the video, you saw my brother's daughter, his oldest daughter, she was on there. I give her a big shout out, because she's living and surviving through that type of trauma without having her father here. And it's heartbreaking when she called me and she's crying because she want to see her father again, or she want to tell him a milestone that's going on in her life and things of that nature, and she can't. You get what I'm saying? It's sad. And I give a big shout out to his youngest son, you know, that's been holding on, and this was a big nightmare for each and every one of his children. And then a shout out to his other son, Tyrone Jr. You know, all of them to me are strong, and I just love them so much. And it's just sad that we have to go on another year without our loved one. And literally now thinking we're going into 8 years, I don't feel any different. I don't feel like, oh my God, like the pain is gone. I don't feel any different. I don't know how other families feel, but as for me, I almost feel worse when I came in, when I couldn't speak, because just to see the unspeakable things, the unspeakable, you know, nobody's getting held accountable, this dog and pony show that's forever going on. It's just so much. So that's why, like I said, I wouldn't even have any guests tonight, but just the West Coalition family for us to kind of unpack. But I definitely wanted to give my cousin a shout out and just tell you I love you. And I'm definitely gonna get your book. I just been I've been supposed to got it weeks ago, but something was going on with my Amazon. I tried to order it and it wouldn't let me do it. But as soon as I hang up, I swear I'm ordering it because I really want to see it. Like everybody in the family got their book already besides your cousin, but I'm getting mine today. And I'm definitely
Because
gonna
even if you don't get it, I love you, man. It's all the same.
you want to get it just because, like, you gotta go through my shelf. Like, I love you so much. And is there anything else you want to share, cuz?
No, I just put the Most High in everything you do. Put him first. Be strong. Be confident in everything. And you be the you want to see. Know your way change. Like, I'm proud of you, Tawanda Jones, for keeping this going strong. Like, you showing it. You know? Just show your work. That's all.
Like I said, I'm definitely get my book. And again, can you share that information if anybody else want to get a book like that? But how much is the book comes online?
I think $14.
Oh, $14, I'm getting two of them joints. So
Yeah. It's GeorgePeoples.com.
Okay, where can we get that again?
Just GeorgePeoples.com. It'll send you the link right to Amazon.
Okay. And if you can, cuz, please send me that link to my phone now. If you can send that link to my phone, that'd be great. Send that link to me. Yeah. And anybody else want to purchase the book, get the book, guys. And I want to also thank everybody that's been funding my brother's campaign. We're actively doing a foundation, a fundraiser. I'm sorry. We're doing a fundraiser because we're trying to raise some funds, to trying to get closer to accountability as possible. But you guys rock. I didn't even share it on my page, so I give a big shout out to the West Coalition because I felt like, almost kind of feel like my pastor, like every time I passed my bishop, when they passing that little bucket around, he always leave out the word. Like, he don't even want to be a part of that. And I don't know why. And I guess I got my pastor's spirit or whatever, and I'm just thinking more so like, after the holidays, people have spent so much money with these holidays, just doing stuff, and then the fact that in the pandemic, I just couldn't ask, but I just thank each and every last one of you guys for like sending some money out. You guys rock, y'all just don't know. And I always tell y'all it's not about the income, it's about the outcome. But thank you guys just for being so supportive in everything. And then speaking of which, I know I'm rambling all over, but there's so much going on in my brain. I swear I'm gonna let everybody speak. But last week we did our West Wednesday, and we were outside, and I got the strangest call, because remember, I was going to bring my cousin on last week, and I had another special guest. They were all going to come on last week, but I had to cancel out that West Wednesday, because as I'm driving home, someone called me, an anonymous person, bless their heart, called me and told us to go down to the Hearn Run Park, that I didn't want to miss it. And they know how we were fighting to have that statue renamed, that place renamed, not just for my brother, but for all the victims of police brutality. And some beautiful soul, or souls, I don't know, but they put work into that. They built this big old thing that had everybody, over 100 and something, and I don't feel proud to say over 100 and something family members were on there, because that means somebody lost someone. But the way they did it was so beautiful. They even had free Keith Davis Jr. on it. They did amazing work. They even did another angel, had lights up all around it. It was beautiful. But the Grinch had to come on Christmas and take it down. And the dirty dogs ain't leaving nowhere. So, I smell an FOP, McCall, I smell an FOP, I smell our commissioner, I smell all them dirty ducks, I smell dirty ass Jack, I smell Nick Mose, I smell all them clowns, snakes, and fakes. I said it. Nobody else on West Coalition said it. These are the words from Tawanda Jones. That's what I said. That's what I feel, because y'all are dirty. Y'all are dirty. And to do that dirty stuff on a holiday, really, y'all couldn't wait? That shows how much integrity, but that shows just how this stuff is divided. They don't want it to be. It's the way it's supposed to be. The system is doing what it's supposed to do. Let's be crystal clear. It never was broke. It was designed to bring us down. Let's be crystal clear, to bring us down. Police, and it's unfortunate for the few good men and women that we do have that take their badge seriously, that say, you know what, this is an occupation and I want to bring money home to my family and I want to kind of give back to my community and stuff. I feel sorry for those few. I really do. I feel sorry for those fools, but for the most part, it is designed to be like the slave catchers. Let's talk about the origin of policing. They never were designed to protect us. They never protected us. They always think about property. And you talking about some stinking property that was over there that nobody tore up, nobody vandalized or anything, but a club, you couldn't keep that up. Y'all some stinking animals, each and every last one of you. And I hope that all the victims of police brutality hunt the hell out of you. And I pray to God, even though, because I don't want to see anything bad happen to anyone, but I pray to God you don't have to feel the pain that families feel by losing their loved ones. The pain that Tamira Rice's mom is feeling right now, knowing her baby was gunned down, cold blood, and nobody's being held accountable. I want y'all to feel the pain that my sister Gina, who always fight for her sister India, her daughter India. Gina is my sister. She fights for her daughter India all the time and all the victims of police brutality. But to have a beautiful daughter gunned down that served this funky country, are you serious? And nobody be held accountable? And they wipe not only her out, but the father out, and they almost killed the baby. Like, shame on this damn system. Like, so I'm holding up every victim of police brutality right now. Justice for everybody. Anthony Anderson, the list goes on. Kevin Cooper, everybody. Like, Jamal Taylor, like everybody that's fighting for accountability right now. It's too many names for me to name them. And I'm sorry, I don't have a long list, but if I write a list right now of all the police brutality from each and every family that I met or know of, guys, we would run out of time on Facebook. I'll probably be doing Facebook Live all night long. Let's be crystal clear. But I shout out and I give my heart out to each and every last one of you guys. I love you, and we're going to keep on fighting. So I'm going to do a mic check, and I'm going to pass it over. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Guy, I have a question for you. I'm trying to put two and two together from what you and Tawana said. Is that your mom that made all those beautiful signs for West Wednesday for years?
Yes, that's my mother. You can hear me still? Okay, yeah, that's my mother. I love my mama, Emma Anderson. But that was also my father who led that. I would like to say that I had a strong father with me. That's why I came out like this too. So I got also.
Can I ask you one more question? Do you have any recollections of Tyrone you'd like to share?
Oh man. Yeah, so many, but which one? I just remember, like, the one I really probably want to share is how he just wanted to better himself when he was here. Like, he wanted to do better, like he wanted to work and all of that, like his heart was in it. That's all I wanted to remember about him, his heart being in everything he do.
And I'm just going back on what my cousin said. Like, he was a loving man and loved from the heart. Like my cousin said, he loved each and every last one of his family members, his community. He always put his love. If he didn't put love into it, he wouldn't be a part of it. He wanted no parts of it. If it wasn't not right, it was something that was positive, he wanted no parts to it. Period. And I see my beautiful sister Nicole on here, and I see her son as well. So we got two artists in the house.
Hello, everybody.
Good evening.
Mic check.
Mic check. Mic check.
Sure.
Well, actually, because we had three artists in the house, because her son ran for Nicole, which is beautiful. She has a beautiful voice. She's a singer as well. So we had three artists in the house.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
So anybody else want to share anything?
Hey, Tawanda, is it alright if I share something?
Absolutely.
Your cousin, is it George? I'm sorry.
Yeah. George Peoples, yeah.
Thank you for being here tonight. I know how hard this is for all of Tawanda's family. That's really important. Kind of really to show people, you know, how widespread the harm that's done when the police create this wound, you know, that's difficult. So thank you. And what you said made me think. Almost a year ago, we had a speak out, and my wife Hillary and Tawanda can speak more to it because they were definitely more involved. But there was a long fight for us just to end gag orders in Baltimore City, which basically kept folks from being able to speak out about on behalf of their loved one after they signed a civil settlement. Which is just, you know, it's so remarkable that that's even a thing, you know, that in this country someone can't speak out, you know, about what's happened to them and what injustices are happening, you know. And so it was just a year ago we had to speak out to kind of recognize that the gag order bill was passed. But it's just reminded me when you were talking about how many things are invisible that we don't see that are keeping folks down, you know, and keeping the system propped up and upholding it, and the people who benefit from it continue to benefit.
We know how many like non-disclosure agreements people have. We still don't know. That's a book we don't probably want to open because they probably paid off a lot of people. You never know.
Oh, I'm absolutely sure of that. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's just, yeah, and I mean, again, Hillary and Tawanda can talk more about it, but just to get that bill passed was just so much work. You know, you'd think that it would be something people would be open to, but the city solicitor and Jack Young and all these people fought against it, even though it's you know, obviously a First Amendment violation, right? People can't speak, really, in this country. Okay, it's crazy. So that's all I wanted to say. I just, maybe Tawanda wants to talk more about that too, but I was just remember that that's the anniversary that's coming up.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Dan, because this is so much, like I said, and just thinking about that, like literally that is coming up. Like literally, I remember we brought 2020 in, doing a sad kind of powerful thing, and you know we had people such as Dr. K, we had Erica, we had so many people to come out and read different victim stories that wanted to be anonymous, that were actually scared to speak out, but the trials and tribulations we went through, the Doug and Pony show, and trying to fight for something that's right. Like, how dare you try to give us money for our loved one, that's our money, and then try to gag us and tell us, oh, we can't talk about it. And we always say that that's like people die from they suffer in silence. Like we teach our children, if somebody do something wrong to you, please speak up. Don't keep a secret from mommy. Don't, you know, tell your teacher, tell that trusted person, because that could literally eat somebody up. And it's the same thing when somebody's getting abused. It's the same exact thing. You're forcing to tell them, and that's almost worse than anything. That's like re-traumatizing them on a whole nother level. So, but and then even now going into 2021, we still are really uncertain, like how much can we talk about? Like nobody still put anything really down in black and white to clear up the part. You know, everybody want to play this for a Doug and Pony show, but nothing's really clear. Sorry, that's my alarm. But nothing's really clear about, you know, what is what. And it's just sad, but it's clear moving forward that nobody really wants to do the right things. Like it's an easy fix, but nobody, they wanted to do what it's doing. It's just horrible. So Helen, would you like to say something in regards to that?
Well, it just, you know, again, I think, you know, the work that you put in and the collaboration was really important, and that, you know, to collaborate with other folks who wanted to make sure people's stories are heard, just like on West Wednesday, when you bring folks who are victims of police brutality and their families, it provides a space for folks to really be heard about those things, and I think that's important. I know that, trauma is tough, and people who have been through any kind of trauma deserve to be heard. And there's legislation coming up about that. There's, legislation about like Leobor and all of those things. Hopefully all of that, the changes coming up with all of those things and pushing for Leobor to be repealed and all of that will enable more people to be able to speak out and be heard.
Absolutely.
So I'd like to add a few things about Tamir Rice. It was just yesterday that the Department of Justice decided they're dropping the case after a 5-year inquiry, and they're not going to press charges against the cop that shot Tamir Rice. The cop's name was Timothy Lohman, and the shooting occurred in 2014. As you said, Tawanda, you said seconds after the cop arrived, he shot. It was actually just 2 seconds after Lohman arrived on the scene. He shot and killed young Tamir Rice, 12 years old. So I was reading about it today. There's some more interesting facts that make this even more horrible in terms of what happened. One is that the person that sent the 9/11 call, the 911 call about Tamir, mentioned that it was probably a fake gun and mentioned that Tamir was probably a juvenile. But 911 didn't relay that to the cop that was going out on location. Of course, it doesn't excuse the cop, but it was inexcusable that they left out that information. The looking into the case, the inquiry by the Department of Justice languished under the Obama administration, and it languished under the Trump administration, and they never did much of anything. It's very much like under Trump, when Attorney General Eric Holder went out to Ferguson after Mike Brown was killed, and said all kinds of sympathetic things, but never did anything to prosecute the cop that killed Michael Brown. And it was very similar to what happened in Tyrone's case with the next Attorney General, Loretta Lynch, who met with the West family and made it sound like she was going to take steps to prosecute the guilty cops, but also did nothing. Now, one more thing that's interesting, a number of things in Tamir's case, is that there were 2 prosecutors at the Department of Justice who requested permission to have a grand jury so that they could subpoena documents and witness testimony about what exactly happened in Tamir's shooting. And they were denied that right. The Justice Department would not allow those 2 prosecutors to convene that grand jury to gather that evidence. Now, the DOJ yesterday, when they said they're dropping the case to prosecute the Lohman or Lehman, however you pronounce that cop's name, their argument was that there's a very high standard legally to win a case prosecuting a cop. But then that raises the question, why is there a high standard? Why is it so hard to prosecute cops? And the answer to that question comes down to the basic reality that the legal system has grown up alongside capitalism and racism. And as Tawana said a little while ago, the system is working. Part of this system working is that they make it very difficult to successfully prosecute police because they want the police to terrorize a certain section of our population. It's very much like today on this program, Democracy Now!, they had 2 African-American doctors speak, and they were talking about the death from COVID of Dr. Susan Moore. You may have seen on the social media, Dr. Susan Moore was in the hospital with COVID. She herself is a doctor, and she spoke about how the doctors at the hospital refused to give her what she needed. She needed pain medicine, she needed this, and she knew her medical condition inside out as a doctor, and they treated her with contempt. And they call that the sort of the medical equivalent of the police killing of George Floyd. This is the sort of the medical analogy, the medical killing of somebody with COVID who, because of racism, is not provided with any respect, dignity, and medical care in the way that they should. So racism in the police brutality sphere, racism in the medical sphere, they've been intertwined since the beginning of this system, and I don't think we can defeat one without defeating the other. The lawyer for Tamir's family, response to the DOJ saying they're dropping the case, the lawyer said the Rice family has been cheated out of a fair process yet again. Yet again. And I want to mention this one last thing. The cop that shot Tamir Rice, named Lohman, he was fired a while back. But he was not fired for killing Tamir Rice. You know why he was fired? Is because he lied on his application when he first became a cop. That was the reason. And they can prosecute it, well, not prosecute, they can fire a cop for that little whatever he did on his application, and they won't fire him for taking the innocent life of a 12-year-old. This system's got to go. So that's what I wanted to add this evening.
And I'm glad you brought that up, Uncle Bill, because it's a shame, but it to me, it's almost another smack in our face. Family members that are fighting real hard. You won't fire them for, murder. Murder means absolutely nothing. But if they steal a little bit of overtime on their paycheck, then now you want to investigate. You want to call them the elite gun trace task force. But what about all the murders? They don't ever talk about that. They don't just talk about the money. They don't talk about the murders or anything. It's just horrible. It's disgusting. And even in our sister that was murdered, when they went in her house and killed her, they didn't. The cop didn't get indicted for murdering her. He got indicted for shooting for some foolishness, not killing her, as if her life didn't matter. I'm over it. It's just so disrespectful. It's to the point. It's almost like they're just laughing in our face over and over again. And it makes me almost think about going back to the case that really touched me. All of the cases of police brutality touched me in every way. Let's not get it twisted. But the case that when my brother got murdered, the case that was closer to my brother that I could kind of look at and kind of reflect to was Anthony Anderson's case. You get what I'm saying? That was a whole year before my brother got murdered, before my family was pushed into a role we never asked for. And then I'm thinking and it made me almost feel hopeless because here it is in Anthony Anderson case, it was deemed a homicide. You deemed it a homicide. And then you don't indict anyone, you don't do anything. And then and the racist Greg Bernstein, who we made sure got out of there, didn't do anything but laugh at Anthony Anderson's family's face, laughed at my family's face, as if it was a joke. And it's just the same. And then now the thing with Marilyn Mosby and all, she started doing nothing. It's just terrible. They're serving themselves, and they all need to go. And how with all of them? Mic check.
Mic check.
Mike check.
Mike check.
I feel like I can't stay for too long. But I just feel like my little bit of input. Hearing everything that's being said as far as getting to the bottom of this police brutality. I'm feeling like it's necessary to be able to learn how to inform.
Brother, your sound went out for some reason. A little bit.
Yeah, I got a phone call. I'm at tap.
So I guess we were having technical difficulties with my brothers and whatnot. And also I wanted to mention to my cousins, so cuz I know you probably got to get ready for work soon. So at any moment when you have to leave, feel free to just go. I don't want to hold anybody else, cuz or anybody that needs to leave now or whenever, definitely, you don't have to stay on. Right, Jack.
Understand.
Apologies, but I had got a phone call, so I took my volume down. But I was just saying, I think it's necessary for us to learn how to teach ourselves and other people in the community how to be able to fight back. Like I say all the time, I always bring up, one of my main points is always bringing up the Constitution. First 3 words are "we the people." We need to understand that we have the power to be able to fight the system, whatever the system may be, whatever change that we're looking to make. can be made within the community by the people. You know, to get a certain amount of signatures, you know, on a piece of paper for a cause can become a bill. This is something that they don't even teach you in schools anymore. You know, they barely taught it when I was in school, in grade school. To be able to just to do the footwork. It's a little harder now with the pandemic and people not want to be around people and this, that, and the third. But it's still ways through social medias, through devices, through, you know, person-to-person contact to be able to get this information out and post it and let people know that it's something that we can do about this, to be able to get justice for these families, for these victims, you know, and be able to put these people behind bars and get some real answers. You know, I don't wish jail or death on anybody, but at the same time, I do understand justice, and whatever that calls for is whatever that calls for. But you know, there are ways for us to come together and just with pen and paper to be able to make a difference. You know, because a lot of people sit and they say, you know, we need to make a change. We need to make a change, but it's a small percentage of people that's doing the actual footwork, as opposed to the people that's just screaming, you know, we shall overcome to the you know, the mountaintops. So, you know, what can we do as together to be able to make these changes? We seeing all of the different things that's being done, all the things that's being said toward us and toward other people. That's just, you know, it blows my mind that the government would even allow people to even be treated in these manners and be looked over and you know, to be killed and you know, paid off and all these things that we're saying, you know, is ways for us to actually stand together and do something about this instead of just being like, man, it's messed up that's happening to us. You know what I'm saying? So what can we do? Does anybody have like a list of things, action plans that we can create in our communities that we can actually move forward? I'm 3,000 plus miles away from you guys, and when anything that I can do in my community here, there, I'm willing to do. I'll be home in 6 months. I'll be back home. You know, we got a bunch of what I call parades. Protests without this. That nigga keep doing that to me. That nigga driving me crazy. You know, protests without a list of demands is just a good. I said that before. You know, so are we parading or are we actually, you know, putting forth some steps to get some type of change? You know what I mean? What can we do? Can we make a list? Can we get an action plan going to make these things happen? Push that action plan to everybody that's around us. You know what I'm saying? You know, I'm trying to find some actual ways and some actual list of things that we need to make these changes that we're looking for in these communities. You know what I'm saying? And especially our Baltimore City, you know, which is one of the cities that was maybe on the top, you know, 5 murder capitals. You know what I'm saying? In the United States, people just dying, and whether it be the community killing or the police killing, or the community killing the police, or whatever it may be, what are we going to do about it? You know what I'm saying? That's what I try to push. Every time we have every time I talk to somebody else, or in my music, anything, what can we do? What is the action plan? Let's make a change. But we got to put the footwork in. You know what I'm saying? It starts with the conversation. But what do we do?
Thank you for saying that, my brother. And we definitely, especially the West Coalition, we definitely putting in work, because protest without purpose is absolute nothing. So we're not just out there. We haven't just been out there literally going 8 years just screaming, no justice, no peace. Like literally, like my brother Dan had said, had it not been for us, you know, and not just us, but different coalition groups, but us like pushing it, we got the bill into law so that way people wouldn't be gagged. You get what I'm saying? Right now, we're actively and diligently working on getting rid of the Office of Bill of Rights. That's been our mission from day one. Literally, the video that we played with my uncle talking. My uncle was the first one. My Uncle George, his father, my Uncle George basically was the first person I ever heard to talk about the Office of Bill of Rights. He always used to say it's old, it's antiquated, and it needs to be gone. He would actually come out there and pour, you know, like basically show us evidence of how it's not working, how cruel and crackball it was. And that started making me do research. So wait a minute, how do they get an interview but we get interrogated? How do they get 10 days before they even make a statement and they get to come in with their attorney? So we definitely do different things. Like a lot of things we don't advertise what we're doing like right here, because I never tell an enemy what we're doing to prepare them. Just like I kind of spoke too fast tonight before West Wednesday, and I was telling them how we was going to unpaint, and now all of a sudden my Facebook Live is not up. Now it's all the way down. Like it's we on just on YouTube, but we got so many followers that watch me live and watch our watch shows live and be sharing. So now all of a sudden at night, Facebook down. Like really? So yeah, we definitely, my brother, definitely got a lot of plans, especially going into this new year, because like you said, a protest without purpose means absolutely nothing. So and at the end of the day, all of it means something, because if they thought for 1 second that we was just gonna hold up a sign and make my brother a hashtag and walk the hell away, they done lost their mind. Mic check.
Mike check.
Nice.
Definitely let me know what I can do. Like I said, right now I'm in a different community. I'm out here, anything that I can do here, even 3,300 miles away, that can be done to fight for it. I'm definitely down for it. For me, I like to learn. So when I'm hearing things and I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm bad with you. But when I was talking about David Daniels, talking about the situation, I'm definitely just learning more about those, because being so far away from home, I haven't heard the stories before I did, and I don't even informed it before I didn't know about it. That's happening in the community that I grew up in. You know what I'm saying? And it's important to know what's going on every different spectrum, every community. You know what I mean? In order to be able to understand how to deal with it, as well, So education is definitely important in this situation, because they'll try to shut us down and shut us up just from not being educated and informed what's going on. You can go and say something and make them mad. If you don't have no type of history or understanding about how to make them mad to make, then they're not going to get it. You know what I'm saying? So to even be informed of what's going on and why it's happening and how it's happening is definitely going to help us get those results.
I guess I'll respond to the point you made too. What can we do, and how can we be successful? In my mind, we're always doing two things at the same time. One is trying to really vigorously fight for some immediate thing. Like right now, West Wednesday is fighting to make the city prosecute the Ruiz, who was one of the leading cops that started the attack on Tyrone. And we want to see him prosecuted and incarcerated, and that's our push right now. And I think whatever we're fighting for, we should be vigorous about it, involve as many people as we can, and try to win. But the second thing I think we need to do is to build a revolutionary movement to get rid of this system. And so there's the educational side and there's the struggle side, and I think they're both equally important.
Wanda?
Yeah.
I want to say two or three things. As you know, in what I usually do here. But one thing I wanted, a lot of times I realize that West Wednesday is police brutality, but I think it's also important to see police brutality as part of a much bigger system that brutalizes people in so many different ways. And Bill talked a little earlier about Dr. Susan Moore and the things that happened to her, where doctors wouldn't listen to her, and where doctors would, and she was on Facebook for days talking about the failures in her treatment, and the doctors would not do anything about it. And this is part of a very prevalent problem where people of color are discounted in medical practice. First of all, they're under, like when people are testing drugs and so forth, they're not tested. The black people and people of color are not tested. These drugs are not tested on them nearly as much. Doctors have been found to, if you give them, people's requests for pain medicines, they actually discount the pain of black people and people of color. And if you give them the same description of pain and say this comes from like Derek Washington, or it comes from Darnell, okay, they will discount that and give that person less pain medication than if you say this comes from Bill. In other words, if you just make the name sound like a black person, the exact same description, they will give less pain medication to that person just because they think they're black. And this is a part of a whole system of objectification and dehumanization of people based on their race. And so I think we need to realize that this struggle against police brutality and Bill's struggle against the capitalist system is part of a huge struggle against all these attempts to dehumanize people, our fellow man, and women, just to get that in there. But so that's the first thing I wanted to talk about. And the second thing, and I do have a third thing, generally I'm going to do what I always do, which is come on here and talk about the people who were lost here in Baltimore to violence. And I want to do that, but I also want to end on I think a more positive note. So when I'm done with them, I just want to say a little more. And so I just wanted to put that out there because I know that this is a hard thing for everybody. And but in the past, I had to skip a couple weeks. And so in Baltimore, since the 10th of December, which is, as far as I know, the last time I did this, we've lost more than 20 people to violence. And I would just, I'll read their names out, and if you could just might check those back to me so that we can recognize the loss that this has caused, not only to those people, but to their families, their friends, the whole community that is shattered every time someone's life is lost to violence. So, Denisha Bradley, 46.
Denisha Bradley, 46.
Wayne Archer, 33.
Wayne Archer,
Wayne
33.
Archer.
James Ellerby, 24.
James Ellerby,
James Ellerby.
24.
Chad Jordan, 40.
Chad Jordan.
Chad
Ford.
Henry Orella, 21.
Henry Orella.
Henry
21.
Trelawney Butler, 26.
Trelawney Butler.
Trelawney Butler.
Lonnie Butler, 26.
Marcus Thomas, 22.
Marcus Thomas.
Marcus
Thomas, 22.
Jatwan Baker, 20.
Jatwan Baker.
Baker, 20.
Anthony Compton, 48.
Anthony Compton.
48.
Cassie Helmsey, 34.
Cassie Helmsley.
Kathy
Helmsley, 34.
Gerard Prescott, 25.
Gerard Prescott.
Prescott, 25.
Lee Jetter, 21.
Lee Jeter, 21.
Kamira Jetter, 24.
Mira
Kamira
Jeter.
Jeter, 24.
Sean Presley, 28.
Sean Presley, 28.
Maurice Christian, 19.
Maurice Christian. 19.
Maurice
Chris, 19.
Sherelle Armstead, 36.
Sherelle
Armstead, 36.
Natalie Wright, 41.
Natalie Wright.
41.
Brandon Fleming, 43.
Brandon Clement.
43.
Wait.
Tyler Burgess, 1.
Tyler
Burgess,
Bird. 1.
Maurice Day, 37.
Maurice Day,
Maurice
37.
Day,
37.
Peter Boykai, 18.
Peter Burke.
What guy?
James Sims, 21.
James
Sims, 21.
There are 2 other victims whose names haven't been released yet. So that's hard. And, you know, we've come to the end of a year, and obviously there's been a lot of pain and just a lot of hard work involved in getting through this year. But I think we all need to also remember that we've had some victories in this year. We've won. We talked about the gag order, and what we haven't talked about, I think, is just what we're doing here. I mean, we took, and Tawanda took it, and this family went from just being something, you know, on a street corner, you know, visible to people who just drove by, and we've turned it, because we had to, we've turned it into a national thing. We've had guests from all over. We've reached out to people who would never have been part of this, and we've helped to knit this whole thing together. And, you know, there have been other things that have been, you know, maybe incomplete but good. But I think we need to, at the end of the year, look at ourselves and say, we fought, we stood together, we cried together, we won some, we lost some, but we're still here. So that's all. Thank you.
Mike check.
Mike check.
Check.
Mike
check.
Yeah, and thank you, Brian, for sharing that. That was real profound what you said at the end about like considering everything. You know, and I was just thinking about like literally when I remember being in church all night long in 2019, stepping over to 2020, and all I kept saying 2020 was going to be my year. I was coming out on top, and it was so many things, honestly, that I took for granted. Like I took every day just breathing in fresh air for granted. I took just going to go see my grandmother anytime I wanted to go see her for granted. Like seeing any of my loved ones, like for granted. Like, and it's just like, so that showed me like there's so much of stuff that, you know, you want the best, but you gotta still be happy with the things that you have now. And even during this pandemic, thank God we still, like, yeah, we lost a lot of stuff, don't get it twisted, but at the same time, we still have each other, we still have things that we can actually walk out and say that we really appreciate. So I think, to me, that 2020 taught me to really appreciate people more, appreciate everything, like the air you breathe in, like everything, because in the blink of an eye, something can change, literally. Something can change forever. Like just the way, like I said, the way we used to just go outside, not wearing a face mask, hugging each other, shaking hands, all that just changed in a blink of an eye. A blink of an eye. And who would have ever thought that we would be where we are now? So yeah. Mike check.
Mike check.
Mike check.
Mike check.
Mike check.
Mike check.
Uncle Bill, do you have that horrible police brutality list?
I do. Shall I do that now?
Yes. Please.
So the website that ordinarily does work to make sure that each person is honored whose life has been stolen by the police, they have not updated that list since November 22nd. So I found another list that doesn't seem to be as complete. This is on Wikipedia, and I'm going to read the names of people whose lives were stolen by police around the country during this month. although I suspect there were a number of others as well that are not here. So if you would repeat the name after I say it, and we can honor them in that way, that would be very good. The first person from Flint, Michigan, 44 years old, Thomas Reeder.
Thomas Reeder.
Reed.
Second person from Columbus, Ohio, 23 years old, Casey Goodson.
Casey Goodson.
Next from Oklahoma City, 60 years old, Bernie Edwards.
Bernie Edwards.
From Columbus, Ohio, also as in all the people I'm naming, whose life was stolen by the police, 47 years old, Andre Maurice Hill.
Andre Maurice.
In the Urupa Valley of California, a Native American, 33 years old, Ernie Serrano.
Bernie Serrano.
From Conroe, Texas, 26 years old, Amy Abercrombie. I'm not sure. Abercrombie, I think, is the pronunciation. And I'm sorry to the family that we're not clear about how to say the name. The next person was from Sacramento, California, killed by the police on December the 13th, but the name has not been released. After that, Hartford, Connecticut, Shamar Ogman.
Shamar
From Farmington, Utah, 29 years old, Robert Joseph Evans.
Robert Joseph Evans.
Robert Joseph Evans.
From Redding, California, 62 years old, Dolores Hernandez.
Dolores Hernandez.
Hernandez.
And the last person listed here on the 13th of December, killed in New York City by police, 52 years old, Luis Vasquez.
Luis Vasquez.
And I just want to mention that next Wednesday will be our first West Wednesday in the new year, on the first West Wednesday of January. And on the first Wednesday, we generally have a discussion after West Wednesday. We call it the challenge discussion. And we're reading a report by people in California, in the Los Angeles area, about their fight against police brutality and trying to learn from them. So if anyone would like to join next week, it'd be very nice to have you.
Mic check.
Mike check.
Mike, check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
And I want to give another big shout out to Hillary and Dan for the kicking off the mass campaign with my brother's name on it. Somebody that's actually doing a documentary on me and Senator Jill Carter. I did an interview with her last weekend, but she texted me randomly and she said, "Hey, Tawanda, I just thought about you." She saw 2 people in her neighborhood with Tyrone masks on. I was like, oh, I meant to ask her what neighborhood she lived in. I was like, oh, that's so cool, but I didn't ask. And my little cousin is getting ready to do a big party. I don't even want to jinx nothing right now, but this party is so epic. Shout out to DJ Naeem. He get ready to do it because, like, he got a big party with a big known rapper. And I told him, make sure he get one of those face masks, please. So, yeah. Mic check.
Mike check.
Okay.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mike,
So, Nicole, I want to kind of check in with you because I know well, I don't know, and God forbid, I don't ever want to know, but I can only imagine or think, with you losing your beautiful daughter, you get what I'm saying, to community violence, and then 2 weeks prior to that, you losing your father-in-law, Anthony Anderson, whom that I was talking about. How are you feeling right now? Like, literally, are your spirits up right now? Like, how are you feeling? I just want to check in with you. How are you feeling?
Well, my spirits aren't up, at all. I hated this year. We couldn't be with our family and our friends and everything, to get that extra love and support that we would normally get. So it made this year, these holidays, like 10 times harder than what they had been in the past, from going through,
the murder of my father-in-law and to the murder of my daughter, and trying to maintain just everyday household needs like your rent paid and the gas and electric and phone bill and having food on the table. So it's kind of like, to a certain extent, I had to put my loved ones on the side, so to speak, because I had to deal with just everyday living with what was going on. I mean, they are never forgotten about, but I haven't been able to really get emotionally involved with them because it's so hard, and I can't have all of that on my plate right now. That's just a little bit too much to deal with, just everyday issues, and then deal with the loss of my loved ones. And it's sad to say, but to a certain extent, I'm glad that they're not here to have to endure this crap, you know, because they're resting in paradise. They don't have to go through whether or not the government is going to help us keep our heads afloat, whether or not we're going to be able to eat tomorrow, whether or not we're going to be on the street or not. It's a horrible feeling, and it's scary because you don't know from one day to the next how everything is going to go. And then with my son, you know, we've been doing our music together virtually because we can't be around each other like that. And then he's on the other side of the world. He's all the way in Seattle, Washington. And he's supposed to be moving back to Baltimore by next summer. But we got to see how that's going to go because we don't know whether or not the COVID going to still be around, or if it's going to be gone by then, or if you're going to really be able to travel the way you want to. So it's just, it's hard. So I try my best to keep my head above water as far as like with my music and stuff, but it's very, very, very difficult.
Well, you know, I'm only a phone call away. If you ever need me, I'm always here. Like, Billy, you can pick up the phone and call me anytime.
Yes, I know, Queen. Because you just helped me out with an issue that I was going through with my daughter a few weeks ago. If you guys don't mind me sharing, what happened was my 17-year-old, she contracted the COVID. And the CDC had called me to tell me that this was going on. So they said, do you want me to call her and tell her? I said, no, let me do it because it'll be a little better coming from her mother than it would be coming from y'all. So I call her and I tell her what's going on and stuff. So she just breaks down, Mommy, am I going to die? This, that, and the other. So I'm like, no, we're going to pray on it. You're going to be okay. You know, this is what they told me to do for you, you know, as far as the quarantining and everything. And I said, I'm going to talk to you every day to make sure you're okay. So the third day comes past, I call her, she don't answer the phone. So I'm like, what is going on? Where's my child? Like, my mind is going all crazy now. So then she finally called me back like 3 hours later. So I said, Apple, where you been? She said, oh, I went to my god sister house because the people that live over top of me was making too much noise and I couldn't rest. So I said, well, Apple, did you tell, you know, these people that you were, you know, tested positive for the COVID? She was like, no, it's none of their damn business. I'm not telling them. I said, wait, Wilma, it's everybody's business because you are putting people's lives in danger. People have underlying health problems. People are taking care of older people. People have children. You know, like with me, I have epilepsy. I had a stroke. I have asthma. Now, what if you would have come to my house and you didn't tell me this, and then I contracted and died? So what I did, and we got into a really heated debate about it, I put a post on Facebook to let everybody know this is my daughter, and she was tested positive for COVID, and if you see her, don't approach her, you know, but if she's been around your kids or you've been around her, you need to get tested and you need to keep your distance. So she calls me, she cusses me out, oh, I was every name in the book except the child of God. And then the people in my family, they cuss me out. Why would you do that to your child? Why would you put her out there like that? I say because at the end of the day, I would feel guilty if somebody lost their life behind something that I knew something about. That's just like if someone was on their way to kill you and I knew about it, and then they came to try to take your life, but they didn't succeed, and then you found out that I knew. How would you feel about me? Knowing that I knew that this person was on their way to take your life, and I didn't pick up the phone and say, get out of the house, don't go where you normally go, you know, anything. I still would feel the same guilt, even if it's somebody I don't know that would get sick or pass away from this heinous disease, and knowing that I was personally, directly, and knowing that somebody that was close to me, which is my daughter, came around you, knowing that she had this and I didn't warn you. That's not right, that's not fair. So a lot of people in my family right now are not speaking to me. You know, I've been cussed out by everybody. It's only like my son that's still like really, and my husband that's like still really speaking to me. Nobody else in the family is. And it's already hard enough because of the pandemic and we can't be around anybody. And just like my sister said, you know, how I've been dealing with my father-in-law and my daughter, and I'm trying to deal with that on top of the COVID, on top of my family not speaking to me, and, you know, losing my loved ones. So it's been like a real struggle for me, like more than what it normally be. And, you know, I feel bad because you put me in a situation where I had to like kind of put you on blast like that. And I don't think it's fair that everybody call and cuss me out because I'm.
It's okay, Queen.
Because I'm trying to save somebody else's life. We got enough life being taken because of the police, because of this COVID and everything like that. And I'm just trying to do my part to make sure that nobody else dies from this as much as possible. And I've been rendered the bad person because I'm trying to help save somebody else's life. I've been around enough death, and I've experienced it, and I'm here at West Wednesday, and I have to hear about death all the time. I don't want to be personally responsible for somebody losing their life.
Well, you did the right thing.
I'm sending you a virtual big hug, Nicole.
Yes,
I'm hugging you
God.
virtually.
We are.
Me too. Another hug.
Lots of hugs, Nicole.
That
Thank
was really,
you.
that was really brave. I don't think I could have been that brave. That was really hard, but you know, I just think it's a really brave thing to do. I can't believe that folks don't understand, but I do. I understand what you did, and it was really brave. So, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Lord, thank you. And as a mother, you know that some things we have to make like crucial, critical decisions that our children are not going to appreciate now, but they'll appreciate it later. So I'm just telling you this moment that definitely, absolutely later, that everybody is saying all this foolishness is going to think about it. Because at the end of the day, you could have saved their life. They talking trash now, but what if she would have came around them and got them sick, or the she would have been on the other foot? Somebody, you know, wouldn't have told her, and they knew they had it. So we thank you, my queen. So you know, it's sad that it seemed like the good come last, but in our book, we thank you. We definitely thank you. And I know it was hard, but like I said, as a parent, as a good person, you have to sometimes make a decision not based upon somebody's feelings, but based upon what's right. And you did the right thing. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Amen to that.
Amen.
Yeah, I know it's hard what you're going through, but it's unfortunately some things get worse before it get better. But you know, you gotta go through them just to get them done. I gotta remember that. Gotta remind us, just we gotta go through it just to get it over with.
You're right.
One of my favorite Winston Churchill quotes, I think he's Winston Churchill anyway, that's who I was told it was. He said, when you're going through hell, keep going.
That's the truth. Remember, after any rainstorm, the sun always come out. So it's gonna be okay, Nicole. It's gonna be okay.
And it is hard. It's so hard because that's my child, and you know, I've always did my best to try to make sure my kids have what they needed. You know, a lot of my kids are musically inclined. My daughter that was murdered, I couldn't hold a candle to her as far as singing. She would just blow the roof off of anything that I would ever sing. And to have that talent being stripped away from the world, and she was never able to share what she could do. And she wasn't here long enough to even grow and see what her life could have become through her music and everything. That is so difficult to deal with. And I'm trying to explain to my other daughter that, you know, life is too short. I mean, this was 8 years ago when they took her. People these days, you blink at them and they ready to blow your head off. So you need to be very cautious and careful about the things that you do and you say around people, because you don't know where a person head at and what they thinking about, what they've been through, and a person snap. And I don't think that I could honestly put another one of my children in the ground. I don't think I would survive that. I really don't. You know, you got to think about it. Me and my husband lost 8 children. That was just 8 with just me and him. And then the ones that I lost of mine, because I had 10 by myself. My husband doesn't have any children. So if all of my kids was living, I would have 18 children. Yeah, I had a big family. So it's like, it's really hard, you know, as far as trying to maintain, you know, kids can be all raised in the same house and everybody still have a different personality, still want to do things differently, still have different hates and loves and wants and needs. And people don't understand that, especially if you only got one child, or, you know, they have different parents or whatever. It does not matter. Kids are just like that.
Thank you again, my queen, for sharing. As you know, we all are here for you. And you can always call me at any time, day, night, whenever. You already know.
Thank you, Queen.
All right,
Mic
so
check.
Mic check. Do anybody else want to say anything before we wrap up?
Just thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it. And
Thanks for coming.
Appreciate you being
Good
here.
to see you guys.
Yes,
small
definitely.
wins count too, y'all. Small wins count too, y'all. Small wins count too. Gotta be happy with them too, you know. We gonna get a big W too.
Yeah. It was nice to meet you, though.
And Nicole, you seen them before. You probably just don't remember. Like when y'all used to come out there, I used to be right there. Like, man, we used to go over Northeast Police District. He'd be out there in his little blow car and cut, laid back.
I probably don't remember.
Dreadlocks, so you always keep us hoodie. He always been called needles. So you don't matter. This is y'all first time.
Okay.
I shook hands with your husband and everything with a real outside time. So,
Okay. Well, it's good to see you again, then.
Good to see you again, sir. Thanks, cuz, for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Love you.
All
All
right.
right,
Good luck with
you
everything,
walk it
guys.
out. All right, Mr. Blash. I'll see everybody later.
All right, well, look, before we wrap up and close out, I just want to thank everyone, like each and every one of the West Coalition family members, because you know we're a family. It's been a tough year, as any year has been, but this has been a tougher one. But I just want to thank y'all for all the love, the support, and just being there. Like, words can't thank you enough. I wish I was rich. I could write everybody off a nice fat paycheck, but again, it's not about the income, it's about the outcome. So I just want to thank you much. And Nicole just almost made me cry when she was talking about her daughter being talented. And I think about how my brother was so gifted with his drawing. Like, all of my family wanted to see him. He was opening up his art studio. Literally, that's all we wanted. He always kept saying, man, when I get my art studio, he wanted to be a forensic scientist person, draw like photos, photo pictures of people that were like missing, or people that was on the run. He just was amazed. Like, he could actually draw each and every last one of them within like 2 seconds. Like a drawing that would take somebody, and I look at the work Ben does with his graphic art. If I could have put Ben and Tyrone together, man, they probably would have made millions of bucks because he was amazing like this. Just that gift. So I just said all that to say, each and every last one of us, we got gifts, y'all. Everybody's gift is different. It may be the gift of just bringing people together, the gift of loving, the gift of caring, the gift of cracking the throat. We all got a special gift, y'all. And it's all about sharing that gift, giving back, being positive, even during the hard times. Love don't cost you anything. Like, love is something that you can't buy, and it's something that everyone needs. Like, children die, literally, like babies die if they don't feel love. Like, if you put this, you got statistics that can show you with the frog or thrust or whatever you want to call it, you put a child in the crib and the parents ignore that child will die, literally. But if you're taking that child off that crib, pouring into them, and they feeling that love carries on. Like, even when we're here for reasons because we love our loved ones. Like, Nicole's here because she loves her daughter, her family. Like, each and every last one of us that are tuned in, that's watching, that's on here, in Q, wherever you are, we love you. So don't take that for granted. Please don't take that for granted. Don't take tomorrow, today, and none of that for granted. If you're not on good terms with somebody right now, like I'm happy now. I talked to JC today. He was telling me that he's been connecting with his siblings that he hadn't talked to in years. Like, literally, they're bonded now. Like, he talked to his sister and brother every day. And that's through this pandemic to make sure we appreciate people. And I appreciate each and every last one of y'all. So remember, live to love, love to live. I love you all. And we will see each other next year.
Love you. Good night, everybody.
Good night, and I'm wishing everybody the happiest possible New Year.
Yes, same to everyone.
Take care, everybody.
Right.
I will hold on tight because Ben is going to play a video to take us out. And this video is also one of my talented cousins. His name is Neil. He made this video and it's real deep and it's just sad, but it's called The Ghost of Tyrone. And it's like real. Everything he said from beginning to end, how they tried to cover up the game plan, the Doug and Pony show, everything. The cause and manner of my brother's death, everything is in this video. So please stay tuned for this video. And again, we will see you guys next year. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
We've been fighting a long time. We've all lost so very much. So many loved ones gone. You are not alone. There are pockets of resistance all around. We are at the brink. Above all, stay alive. You have no idea how important you are. Are you listening to this? You are the resistance.
No pity. My message to the citizens committee, who the biggest lawbreakers in the city. Full of corrupt politicians, red tape, roadblocks, criminals, no spots. What about these roads? No pity. My message to the citizens committee, who the biggest lawbreakers in the city. Full of corrupt politicians, red tape, roadblocks, criminals, no spots. What about these road cops? They bust them on the head with closed fist and hard kicks. A bunch of night bitches trying to end this life quick. The kicks turn to stomps. They maced them and tased them. Dragged them out the car by his thread, plus the days them. Killing them, but telling us they should've got a ticket. Traffic stop, truck stop, specify which is it. With every single witness saying he never resisted. Imaginary balls and ankle socks, must have missed it. Cardiac arrhythmia, dehydration. We even heard about positional asphyxiation. The bruises and the scarring, the suffering and pain. 30 minutes past before the ambulance it came. I found it all insane, to beat and kill for sport. It took 5 months to get the autopsy report. The coroner, the cops, and the fucking state's attorney knew my cousin was dead before they put him on the gurney. No pity. My message to the citizens committee, who's the biggest lawbreakers in the city. Full of corrupt politicians, red tape, roadblocks, criminals, no spots. What about these road cops? No pity. My message to the citizens committee, who's the biggest lawbreakers in the city. Full of corrupt politicians, red tape, roadblocks, criminals, no spots. What about these road cops? Deceiving the public is something closer to impossible. Only autopsy, but we know it wasn't logical. Highly improbable, undetermined manner. I like the way you doctored up the calls across the scanner. Your signal 13 sounded staged and unfinished. Your life was being threatened, not a single fucking blemish on any of the officers involved in the murder of Tyrone West. Man, that shit is unheard of. Let's go a step further. Examine all the evidence. father, cousin, grandson, and brother.